Our conditioning creates conditions on love. And so if you want unconditional love, it's in removing the conditions we have around it. And in this video, I'm going to guide you through a process where you identify your conditions that you have around love and actually release them. And for those of you that don't know me, my name's Kevin Crenshaw. I also go by the Heart Guy, and I help people with matters of the heart. Self-love and healing conditions around relationships being two of those things. This video used to be part of my $3,000 course that's now for free here on YouTube for you. And I'm doing that for two reasons. I think a lot of stuff on YouTube is educational, and that's great, but I really want things that are actually going to change your life. And I realized over the past decade of my own transformational work that I had been gifted a lot of support. So I just want to give back in that way, and this video and releasing this course is a part of me doing that. I would highly recommend that you watch part 1 and 2 of this course before you go into this process, because each week and each video builds on itself. So without further ado, let's dive into the video. Here's me from 2019.
You're here, week 3. All right, we're clearing your conditioning. This one's really exciting because of how potent this exercise is at the end of week 3. It's changed my life, the decisions that I make, how happy I am on a day-to-day basis, my relationships, not just intimate relationships, but relationships with my parents, relationships with my friends. And this stuff I didn't even realize was really controlling me. If you haven't watched week 2, really make sure you go back and watch week 2, because we cover what conditioning is and your wounds are and why it's important to liberate yourself from that. So that's kind of like a big understanding bit of it. So please make sure you go back and watch week 2 if you haven't. If you have, great, you're here. And we're just going to jump right into clearing your conditioning so you can set yourself free from your old love story and your patterns that you're experiencing right now. We gained a lot of clarity in week 1. Now we're going to put that clarity to use and actually deal with it. And this is the work that everybody is avoiding. And this is the work that a lot of people just don't know that this is what they need to do, or that they don't know that this conditioning is really controlling their life. Because again, like we talked about in week 2, they think that they're controlling their life, and it's really coming from a deeper place within. So I'm excited for this video. We're going to be covering 4 things. What is conditioning? Where yours came from, what yours specifically is, and then we're going to release it, because everybody has a different conditioning, and what your conditioning is dictates how you're operating in life. Now, the definition of conditioning: the process of training or accustoming a person or animal to behave in a certain way or accept certain circumstances. Quote, social conditioning, right? A condition is to have a significant influence on or determine the manner or outcome of something. It came from Latin, condicere, with, say, agree upon, agreement, and then it comes down to condition. Now, I wrote down that conditioning is a learned behavior that comes from experience or authority. So basically, this learned behavior, this training, if you will, trains your brain to operate in a certain way, right? You positively reward a dog for doing tricks so that it will respond and doing those tricks in the future. You can also negatively punish the dog, and the dog will learn not to do certain things. And it's the same with humans. We operate very similar, but this is just with love and life, right? So the experience is usually deeper than the authority, you know. And if you think about the first time well, this happened to me quite literally, so maybe you didn't go through this, but my mom told me, don't touch the hot stove. And I was like, okay, and I touched it. And I hurt my head and cried. She was like, I told you so. I actually remember that. I forgot how old I was. It was, but that was authority and experience. But guess which one I learned from? The experience, you know, and I will never touch the stove again. But what's important is the conditioning. What did I make that to mean in my head? And thinking about it, I made that to mean, oh, my mom is right. I should start listening to my mom more. Some people could make that to mean the hot stove is hot, don't touch it again. Some people could make it to mean, oh, I'm so stupid. Why didn't I listen to my mom? I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid, and they'll beat themselves up. Literally as a 2-year-old, if that keeps happening. Or authority. Maybe your mom will, you're so stupid, why didn't you listen to me? Authority, after the experience, brings in that message, and you just start to believe it. because our brains are so, versatile, especially younger, where we just absorb everything. It's like a sponge. We absorb everything that's being put in. And so that's then the condition, and you just start believing. We touched on week 2, how that can, dictate things. So this is really what traps us. And, there's also authority, another way to think of authority, and this is how, especially with love and relationships, that I just get juiced on this topic, is with TV and media programming. It's called TV programming for a reason. Also, the media teaches us about love because, again, we're just kind of like taking in when we're watching TV or watching movies, and we're most of the time seeing a chase go on with love. It's like one person doesn't want it, one person does, they chase that person until they win them over in demonstration of, see, I love you, and then happily ever after. Wait, we don't get the rest of the story. That's actually when the story starts, is when they commit. Interesting. Something to think about. And so then it creates this, oh, I need to chase love. I need to grasp it. Or it creates a, hey, love just finds me. And they'll prove it. Oh, interesting. That might be why we have a lot of the problems we do. Because is that really love? Or is that a trade? I don't know. Something to think about. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But, with all of these conditions, our current conditioning makes love conditional. I'm going to say that again for y'all back in the back. Our current conditioning makes love conditional. If you want unconditional love, you have to reconstruct your conditioning. And so these conditions that we have on love, or our self-worth, rather than just accepting the love that's given to us, we try to just give it and give it and give it and wonder why it's not being, accepted. And it's interesting. You're like, okay, Kevin, if love is something that you just accept and not achieve, great. I'm waiting for my Prince Charming. Where is he? I want to accept it, but I don't see it. If it was that easy, Kevin, I would just accept. Or our conditioning is keeping us blind, because our condition is determining our self-worth. So if you only believe that let's put it on a scale, like for example's sake, let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10. If you believe that your self-worth is at a 3, and you want a guy at a 10, your literal subconscious brain won't be attracted to him. Or you'll be attracted to him, but oh my God, he's out of my league. And you'll go into fairy tale land. Versus, whoa, you're a dope soul, let me go talk to you. Right? Because you're matched, which is the whole point of this program. And love is also like breathing. You receive and you give. It's part of love.
Hope you've been enjoying the video so far. I just want to share that we have a group of people that are going through this process together. So if you need support, if you want to be around like-hearted people, or if you got questions for me, be sure to check the link down below in the description to join our group. This is for this course, and I'll be doing free coaching here and there. And also, if you have found this valuable, again, this course used to be $3,000, so please share this with a friend, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. All of that stuff matters and helps me spread this message to more people. All right, let's jump back in.
Let me prove it to you. If somebody paid for your dinner, or somebody gave you a word of encouragement, or they complimented you on something, that's a form of love, is it not? Or they did something for you, any of the 5 love languages, right? And if you don't know what that is, check the books down below, because I do mention that one, I believe. And, they're like doing all these great things for you, and you're just not accepting it. You're like, no. I just had I'm not that beautiful. You're beautiful. You're looking great today. Or, no, I'm gonna pay for this dinner. No. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. No. What are you doing? No. Or, oh my God, I'll pay you back. I know you. Thank you so much for helping me, but I got to pay you back because that's not accepting. And you're robbing that person of the gift of giving. Because think about when you give to somebody else. How does that make you feel? Probably really good. But if that person didn't accept your gift, you gave somebody a gift of words or a physical gift or doing something for them, and they almost just discard it, like, oh, cool. Passive aggressively, or they'd give it away to somebody else. How does that make you feel? Not so good. And you're causing that in other people by not accepting. And so it's interesting, if we just looked at how much love is being given to us already, we can start receiving it and accepting it instead of neglecting because I don't. Well, the reason we don't do that is conditioning. Because of our current conditioning, it makes love conditional. No, that means I have to do this. Or, they give you, back in the day, I remember my mom even saying this, like, oh, that, like, you have, like, she would get a present for Christmas from one of her friends, and it was just like this game of one-upping each other. Okay, the value was like $50, so I'm going to do 60 this next time. And then she did 70, and then mom 80, and it was just like, I saw that as a kid, like, why? They weren't, both of them weren't accepting. Interesting. And so, again, with the breathing thing, you don't want to just be you can't. At some point, that'll create no oxygen. It'll create a lot of buildup and tension in your body and lack of emotion, right? Lack of motion, then stress. What if love could be easy? Because what if love is easy? And what if the expectations that we put on love are what make it hard? And what if our conditioning just makes love conditional? And if we were to release our conditioning, we could have unconditional love. What if it really was that easy? That's what I choose to believe. And we have this condition or story that it's supposed to be hard. Maybe an experience because you got heartbroken when you blamed it on love when it was really an expectation. You saw it in a movie. You saw it with your parents. Something to think about. So a lot of this, and you saw it from the title, we're going to be talking about, parents or caregivers. So when I say parents from here on out, I also want to say caregivers because some people, you had a different caregiver, okay? And that's okay, but when I say parents, just know that it's who took care of you when you were growing up, because that's what's important here. So your parents taught you about love, and not just their demonstration of it with each other, but your relationship with each one of them individually. And I'm going to prove it to you. We were born into this world a completely unconditionally loving being, and then we learn conditions on what it means to be ourselves and what it means to be in love and all of these things. So let's say that you were crying as an infant before you were able to walk, and you did something, and you were crying, you didn't get your parents' attention. You were crying, they didn't pay attention to you because they were just tired of it. They're like, okay, this thing just cries all the time. I'm just going to ignore it. I don't know what to do, because there's not like a parenting school, so that usually happens. And then you do something to make them laugh, or you do something really funny, and they all of a sudden pay attention to you. Instantly, you're a comedian or a people pleaser. Because if I make them laugh, that means I get love. Ooh, okay. And then you move in that direction, and it creates this monster in you that just makes other people happy and makes other people laugh all the time. Is there nothing wrong? Is something wrong with that? No, that's just how the condition is. Again, we're not blaming yourself. You're not judging yourself. We're just looking at, oh, this is the condition I have, and I'm just going to change the channel quite easily. We're not beating yourself up here. Just be aware of, oh, this is what I have, and this is what I don't want, so I'm just going to change. Just like changing an outfit, it kind of is that easy. Once you have awareness of it, and then you just do the work of changing, which we're going to do later. Also, you're crying, don't pay attention to you. And then all of a sudden you start crawling or walking on your own. Oh my God, you're walking, that's amazing. They paid attention to you, and you got a lot of attention for doing something. And then that learned in your brain to be an achiever. So then you just started focusing on doing and doing and doing. And that's where most of us are achievers, or the next one I'm going to talk about, because it rightfully so, right? You started walking and you got an overload of attention and praise. Rightfully so, because your parents are trying to train you to walk. They want you to be a human. And then you just pour that energy into work, into school and studies, into art, into doing things. And we're taught to be doers. And then we get into a relationship where you're asked to be, and then you're like, oh, what do we do? Or you go to yoga class where they say, okay, just be. And you're like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? I need love. That's literally what's happening in your subconscious because of this conditioning. Or the last one is you were crying and then you accidentally like fell and hit your head and you really started crying, and all you mothers out there and fathers out there know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit of a different cry, and then they actually pay attention to you, and that then created a dramatic, or somebody who links pain to love. So are you always throwing a pity party? Are you always in a state of chaos? Are you always addicted to drama? Is there always something wrong? That heightened emotion, number one, you have a heightened emotion. We talked about emotions in week 2. That means you start to feel something, even if it's something you don't want. You start to feel a little bit more energy coursing through your veins. And you're linking it to love. So, I throw a pity party and all my friends pay attention to me. I have a problem. So often we're like, I see this with a lot of people where they compare problems. My back, oh, your back, my neck. This fuckboy. Oh, yeah, you got a fuckboy? Like, I'm married to one. Whatever it is, right? And we almost just are connecting through our problems. But why do we have to have problems? Because what if we didn't need them? And what if in a state of inner peace and confidence, those problems you were bigger than, and they're just something to look at, but it's not going to control your life. It's not going to take over your life. Oh my God! Which is, you're just linking a pain to love. And this comes from infancy, right? So I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. Hopefully you have a pen and paper ready. And I just want you to answer these questions literally from the first thing that comes to your mind. So don't give it a lot of thought. Don't pause the video and think about it. Like, sit up in your chair, deep breath together. Knead yourself out, shake it out. If you didn't do that, I need you to do that. What that does is it gets you out of your head, into your body, so you're going to be able to respond from a deeper place. You're not just thinking about it, right? So if you're laying down, you're sitting down, stand up for me, all right? So I'm going to ask you these questions. Whose love did you crave the most growing up from your caregivers, your mom, dad, caregiver? Whose love did you crave the most? I know you love them all, but whose attention did you seek? Number 2, who did you have to be for that person in order for them to love you? What did you have to do for them? If you were to know, don't go to, I don't know, that's a safe answer. What did you have to do? Who did you have to be for them in your brain back then in order to get their love? The first thing that comes to mind. All right, now hopefully you wrote that down, and again, I want you to rewind and do that again if you kind of had a brain block, because a lot of us have a condition of saying, I don't know, because it's safe. I don't know. Because if you don't know, then you're not in the wrong. And maybe that's a condition you learned early on. Something to think about. You really do know. Lean into it. Put some heart into it. Okay? And redo that if you need to. So, for me, I craved my dad's love the most. And I had, because he was physically there for me, but not like emotionally there for me. He was always working or doing something else. And I made up in my mind that I had to quite literally sit down and shut up. I couldn't really make a ruckus. I had to, like stay in my own lane, and not really bother him. I didn't want to be a bother because I felt like I was a bother to him. And I had to really know it all. I had to know the answers. So the I don't know thing was really deeply rooted in me, because if I didn't know something, I felt this like, he was just like, you should know this. I'm like, cool, thanks, Dad, you didn't teach me. Right? But I had to know it all, and I had to sit down and shut up, and I couldn't really fuck up. I had to like really have my shit together. So guess what that created in me? Extreme social anxiety, where I didn't talk to girls. I didn't really talk to other guys even. I was the nerd kid that just sat down and shut up, and because I was supposed to have all the answers and I didn't speak up. And I just stayed with what I knew, which was video games. Because my dad wasn't judging me for that. That was the one outlet that I had where I could mess up and he wouldn't necessarily know because it's playing. And And I got really good at video games, by the way. I like played for money, not even joking. So that's interesting, right? Now, unless you've done a little bit of this work before, question 3, how are you still doing that? How is this still showing up for you in your life? Now, if you've done a little bit of this work before, you've dived into the parent thing, maybe you've had a little bit of liberation, but it's always good to revisit this. It's still good for me to revisit this years later. But, how is this still showing up? How am I still trying to get my dad's love in a weird way from other people? And how am I still operating out of that, 5-year-old brain? And that's entrapping you in your old love story. So are you still trying to get attention from any of this stuff, the people pleasing, achieving, or having problems? And what this, and just make a list, for you, how is this still showing up in your life? Not with that caregiver, but in life. How are you still operating that way? Are you still trying to have all the answers? Are you still trying to people please? And what this creates in us is attachment styles, and there's a few different attachment styles. The two most common are anxious and avoidant. So we are super clingy because we need love. And there's a story of a little girl who had a dream to have this white fluffy bunny. She was like a 5-year-old girl. She wanted a white fluffy bunny the entire year. She knew she was going to get it for Christmas, and that's what all year she kept thinking about it. And guess what? Christmas came around, and her parents were like, "We're going to go get your bunny," and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited!" And she got in the car. They went, got in the car, got the bunny, picked it out. It was this, oh my God, it's this beautiful baby bunny, and she got to hold the bunny in the back seat on the way home, and she was just hugging and loving on that bunny so much. And she got home, and the parents got out of the car, and the bunny had died because she had squeezed it to death. And a lot of us do that with partners or things in our life because we're so anxious and clingy and needy. And then the person's like, "Oh my God, we want freedom, right? So I don't want to, what the heck? This feels weird." Or an avoidant who's scared of intimacy because it's hurt us in the past. So anxious is kind of like, you're seeing love as scarce. So, "Oh my God, you love me?" Avoidant is, I don't want to get clingy. I don't want to get too attached because you might hurt me. I might get hurt. So let's build some space. And again, a lot of this is just from those instances growing up. So we're controlled by this conditioning, and most of us, how it's still showing up, our solution and our first instinct reaction is to fight it. So you keep going back to an ex, and you're like, "Okay, cool. I deserve better. I deserve better. I deserve better. I'm gonna choose different this time." Or you are always sad, and you're like, "Okay, great. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be happy," like the Joker, right? Like, I'm gonna be happy, and we're gonna fight it. And in the act of fighting, you create tension and resistance that builds into tension and lack of movement, which then creates stress. And it's not authentic. And so it's trying to fight away the conditioning instead of, our answer is to push it away. But the answer is actually quite the opposite. It's to love it away. Because if you're going to be loving always and in all ways, you have to, and if you believe that everything happens for a reason, then you then have to go to that instance in your past and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, why did this happen for me? And really look at it black and white and go, that it's not about what's happening to you. It's sculpting you into who you are today. If I had the dad that I wanted, I wanted a dad that was always loving. He taught me things. I wanted a dad that gave me attention. I wanted a dad that was able to teach me how to be a man. I wanted a dad that could challenge me a little bit. I wanted a dad that taught me about things and how the world works and through his lens, and I blamed him for not doing all of that stuff. But if I would have had the dad that I wanted, I would not be the man that I am today. I have such independence. I have such drive. I don't need anybody else. I'm so much of a go-getter, and I do figure out the answers on my own. But I'm also extremely resourceful, and I know when I do need help and how to ask for it. And that was ironically the gift that I got in not having the dad that I wanted. And so if we're going to blame them for the bad, we got to effectively blame them and blame them for the good too. And a lot of this stuff, you know, when I talk about parents and caregivers, and week 3 and week 4 of this program, I kind of start getting into things start coming up. Abuse, abandonment, neglect or rejection. And I was fortunate enough, at least for my parents, not to go through any of that. And you know, mine is more so in week 4 because I did have abuse in my relationships. And it's extremely important that we look at this and go, how can I love this away? Instead of fighting from this or running from this, or, you know, that was in the past, I don't want to go there, I don't want to open up that can of worms again. The only way to heal it is to feel it. And the only way through it is to it. And we're not going there for the sake of going there to relive the story. We're going there to rewire your conditioning. That is the mission here, and it's really important that you keep that in your brain. Again, we're coming from the heart with this, right? So how can I take a higher perspective instead of victimizing myself and, oh my God, they shouldn't have done that, and you know, what if hurt people hurt people? And what if it doesn't make it right? But it happened. And we're going to go to this for what somebody did or didn't do, whatever we're blaming them for. We're going to forgive them and let it go. Ooh! Now, forgiveness takes a lot of courage. It also takes a lot of love. And that's why I have the saying, put some heart into it, because you have to give even more love, especially to the ones that you don't want to give it to. And why should I forgive them, Kevin? Because when you wrote down your definition of love and relationships and your self-worth, and then you wrote down your experience, and if your experience was not matching your definition, it's because of a conditioning. And it's because you're holding on to a grudge, it's because you're holding on to the past, it's because you are holding on, you're not letting go of, and you're creating a condition. That condition is keeping you from experiencing the love that you want. Because your conditioning is creating love to be conditional. You made a belief about yourself during that past. You made a belief about love during your past. And that belief is dictating and controlling your life. Now you can stay righteous, self-righteous, and be right, and keep that conditioning if you want, and stay stuck in your patterns. But you showed up to this program because you want to destroy those patterns. You want to get rid of that stuff. So, in doing so, you have to let go and forgive. Now, in order to forgive, you have to let go of that being right. And also, you have to know that forgiveness doesn't make what happened or didn't happen right. It makes you're just going to let go. You know, there's a saying that resentment and anger is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. Let's let that sink in for a second. Really let that land. And you just, I gotta be right. They deserve that. You're the one enslaving you. And if everything in life is a mirror, it has nothing to do with anybody else. My mama taught me that it doesn't matter what happens to you, it matters how you respond to it. And attitude is everything. Ooh, man, oh man, did it take me years to learn that. But my mom taught me over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what happens to you, it matters what you do, how you respond. And what she was saying was like, hey, you gotta love more. Doesn't matter how, okay, cool, something happened to you. Now what are you gonna do about it? What's your attitude gonna be? She was saying, are you gonna love or are you gonna stay in a hurt? Also, in order to forgive, it's an act of a full heart. You really have to have compassion. And there was a story that I read about a few months ago, so forgive me if I'm messing up the details, but this is really important Because a lot of you guys have a story so rooted in being right that you're not letting you're like, I don't know if I can forgive. Some of you guys, it's a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit easier, and that's okay. Everybody's in a different spot with this. But if you are in that spot where it's like, dude, I don't know if I can forgive that. I was abused. So there was a story, and this is fact, so this isn't fiction, of this guy raped and murdered this woman, and then he was put in jail. And the mother of that daughter held a grudge for him for 5 years, and obviously, rightfully so, right? Like, this guy comes through and rapes and murders your own daughter. And then 5 years later, she actually met him in jail. She showed up to visit him, and she said that she forgave him. And she started crying, and he started crying, and that changed his life. And she said, thank you, because you gave me so much gift of how to forgive. You gave me the gift of how to forgive, and now my marriage is healed. Ooh. When you can come at something like that with so much fucking compassion, it takes so much love. And you letting go of being right all the fucking time. So grab a pen real quick. I want you to how easy it is to actually let go. Grab a pen. And I want you to grasp it as hard as you freaking can. Ready? Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Don't let go. Don't let go. Like, as hard as you can. You're going to feel it in your forearms. You're going to feel it in your bicep, your triceps, your shoulders. Now, decide to let it go. Which one took more energy? Which one was easier? Was love easier, or was being right easier? Because you can be in right or you can be in love. Pick your poison. And being in love means accepting, receiving. Being in love means letting go of being right. Being in love is the easy part. Letting go of being right is what most people don't want to do. But again, you can be in right or you can be in love. Up to you. And forgiveness, by the way, is also you just saying, I'm no longer going to let this control me. Does it make it right? No. And I really want to make that clear. Forgiveness, there's a saying, and I said this on Instagram a few days before recording this video, that unconditional love does not mean unconditional acceptance of bad behavior. Okay? It doesn't make it right. Forgiveness doesn't mean, okay, I forgave them, so that means I get to go back into the relationship and you don't. It's unconditional love is just letting it go. And it's a letting go from yourself. You're almost having closure by yourself. Closure doesn't need to be a two-way street. You don't need to talk to them. That's your ego wanting to change them and be right and make it right. This is for you. So, in order to let go, you have to see the benefit of what this negative experience taught you and how it shaped you into the person you are today in a positive way. You have to see it from a new perspective. And then you honor it. So instead of fighting it, you love it. So this is the conditioning, right? This conditioning is here, and we're trying to fight it, and it creates tension and resistance and stress, and it keeps you stuck in a pattern. Or you can have this thing be here, and it's like, oh, I see what you're here to teach me. I'm going to gain a new perspective, and hey, thank you for being in my life for so long. And thank you for trying to protect me, because that's all a conditioning is doing, by the way. A conditioning is trying to protect you and to keep you safe. A conditioning is a link to getting love. But is it right? Is it the most effective way of doing it? And that's what we're doing in this video, is looking at that and going, maybe it could be different. And so, thank you, but there's a different way, and there's a better way, and I'm going to choose that. I see you. Thank you for your lessons. You're no longer welcome here. Is different than, oh shit, this is showing up. It's going to stay there. Honoring and loving it away is a little bit different, and it literally comes down to a choice. You gonna choose to be right, or you gonna choose to be in love? Or you gonna choose to free yourself? You have to let go of being right. But that's what your brain is designed to do, by the way, is to be right. You know, it's wanting to stay in congruence with what it believes. So if you believe that love is hard, and you meet Prince Charming and you get in a relationship with him, you're gonna make it hard because your brain wants to be right. If you believe that love is easy and you meet Prince Charming, you're gonna let it flow and allow it because you subconsciously believe love is easy based on your conditioning. We're rewiring your conditioning to match your new love story to allow you, keyword allow you, to live it. So you don't have to fight it. What if you could love it? Ooh. And what if it could just be accepted? So this is the process now, but we're actually going to do the work of forgiveness.
Whose love did you crave the most? That's the person that we're going to forgive. In doing this, you're going to give yourself the gift of love. You're going to give yourself the gift of what they never gave you. And when you do that, you actually parent yourself and you fill yourself with the void that you're looking for somebody else to. That is self-love, that's self-respect, and that's freedom. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it. All right. So make sure that you're in a space where you can sit down, lay down, whatever it is. And I just want you can have headphones on, whatever. And you're just going to listen to my voice. Okay. You don't need to watch me from here on out until after the meditation is over. So I want you to sit down or lay down in somewhere comfortable. And I just want you to listen to my voice. There's nothing to do, nowhere to be, except for right here, right now. And I want you to tense your entire body. So squeeze your fists, squeeze your shoulders, squeeze your arms, squeeze your legs, your thighs, your butt, your gut, your everything, your face, and let it go. And just be. We're going to do that one more time. I want you to squeeze everything. And go. Squeeze your fist, squeeze your neck, squeeze your shoulders, squeeze your arms, your chest, your back, your gut, your butt, your chest, your legs. Squeeze it harder, 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 and let it go. And just be. Now take a deep breath in and inhale white light into your lungs. Hold it at the top, and I want you to exhale black smoke all the way. Take a deep breath in, inhale all that pure energy, and then exhale all that negativity, all that heaviness. One more time. Take a deep breath in, just fill your body with oxygen and receive all the love, and then exhale out all of the control and trying to be right. And I just want you to breathe easy. And I want you to be aware of the space between your chest and the middle of your upper back. And just bring your awareness to that space. We call it the heart. And be aware of your heart center. And now can you bring that awareness up behind your throat, in space, and just be aware of the space behind your throat. And bring that awareness to the space between your ears. And can you be aware of that space between your ears in space? And bring that awareness up, higher, about 6 inches above your head. There's this golden flame. And I want you to bring your awareness to the flame. See it dance, see it flicker, feel its warmth. It's just you and the flame. And let that flame jump in front of you as it bursts into a bonfire. And you're sitting on a log with the flame. And you're seeing it dance, feeling its warmth on a cool night with an open sky. You can see the stars, but you feel the warmth of that flame. And it's just you and the flame. And you start to, from the distance, feel this energy coming closer to you, and you can't quite make out who it is, but this person has a lot of joy, and they're moving really quick, and you can sense it's very light, and they're coming closer and closer to the fire, and the fire lights up their face, and it's you when you were 5. And you sit down on the log across from you, and you just have this big grin on your face, and you say, "Did we do it? How is it? Tell me, what's it like?" And you say what? Just have a dialogue with you. And whatever comes to mind, let it be. And little you runs across and around the fire, and they give you a big, giant hug. And this hug has so much love and energy, and they just love you so much. And in that hug, you hug them back, and they dissipate into this golden dust and almost absorb into you as you. It is you now. And you sit back down on that log with a grin on your face. And it's just you and the flame. You see it dance, feel its flicker, feel its warmth, and bring your awareness to the flame, taking in all that you just experienced. Then there's another figure coming from across the flame, and you can't quite make out who it is, but this energy is moving with a little bit more wisdom and a little bit slower. And this energy gets closer, this person gets closer and closer, and the flame starts to make out their face, and it's you in 30 years. And you sit down on the log across the fire, and you just have this grin on your face. And current you says, "How is it? Did we do it? What's it like? What do I need to know?" And older you says, "What? All you need to remember is, all you need to do is what?" And trust the dialogue that comes to mind. And they get up and go around the fire and give you this warm, pure hug. You hug them back, and as you do, they dissipate into this golden dust that becomes you, in you, as you. It is you now. And you sit back down with the flame, taking in all that just happened. And it's just you and the flame. See it dance, see it flicker, feel its warmth. Just be with the flame. And then you start to see this energy coming from across the flame, and you can't quite make out who it is. But you sense this unease in your stomach. And you start to get a little bit nervous, and this person comes closer and closer, and it's somebody that you've had a falling out with, or you've been holding a grudge to, and it is that parent or caregiver that you craved their love so deeply. And they sit down on the log with a smile on their face, but tears in their eyes. And they say, "I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me." And you have a dialogue with them and say what? Trust what comes up. What's the truth? And they stand up with a grin on their face. They say, "I love you." And they walk back off into the darkness. And you have a little bit of peace. You sit back down on the log, and it's just you and the flame. And bring your awareness to that flame, taking in all that just happened. And you see that flame starts to bring embers going higher and higher into the sky, and you bring your awareness onto one of those embers, and it becomes this bird that just soars higher and higher and starts to fly. This bird lands on a tree branch next to a house, and it looks through the window, and it sees this instance where your inner child first felt like they didn't deserve love with their parents. They first felt like something was wrong. What happened? As the bird on the tree branch, view what happened with the caregiver and the little kid. What was the truth of that? What did the little kid make that up to mean? And what was really going on with that parent or caregiver? Were they going through some pain? Did they not know how to deal with it? Were they just ignorant to what they were doing or not doing? Were they trying to do their best with what they had? And dissipate that moment into dust and let it go. As the bird, you climb higher and higher. You fly higher and higher across the tallest building and across the tallest mountain. You keep going up and up and up and up and up, higher and higher into the sky. And you burst into flames, and you let that flame drip down your body as this golden, pure honey that just engulfs your head, your shoulders, your neck, your heart, all the way down into your gut, your hips, your legs, and this golden honey just drips over you, removing all impurities and all of the hurt. And it drips down into the earth, and the earth takes it gracefully and will dispose of that negativity. And it's just you and the flame, taking in all that just happened. When you're ready, I want you to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, breathe, get back into your body, and when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes. And we're going to journal. And I want you to write down the name of that caregiver, that person that came to mind at the top of the sheet of paper. And then I want you to write down the instance, what happened. So just write these questions down. We're not going to journal now. I just want you to, I'm going to give you the outline of what we're going to do. What happened? What was the instance that you're blaming this person for? What did I make that up to mean? What did I make that up to mean? Number 3, how did it help me survive? How did me making that thing up in that way help me to live and to keep going? Also, what was the experience like as the inner child? What did you learn from that experience in talking with your inner child? What would you learn from talking with your older self? What was the advice? Okay, now that's for you. And then you can, one more thing. What lesson did you learn? What was the lesson in that experience with that parent or caregiver for you to learn, to grow? How is that a gift? Now, you're going to write a forgiveness letter. That is the second half of this. After answering those questions, so I'm going to tell you the structure of this forgiveness letter. Now, this letter, you are not giving it to anybody. This letter is for you. Okay? So if you're going to write this letter and then you plan on giving it to somebody because they deserve to know, that's you trying to be right. All right, this is for you. Forgiveness is a one-way street, and we're getting closure within yourself. All of this is for you, but you're going to write this letter as if you're going to give it to this person. So you have their name at the top, on whose love you crave the most. And there's 4 things that are going to be structuring this letter. Number 1, I call it dumping. Dumping. You're going to write out everything that you've ever wanted to verbally say to this person. Fuck yous. How dare you? Do you even know what you did? Let out your emotions, okay, onto paper as if you're talking to this person out loud. That's going to remove all of the hurt and get the hurt out of the way, so we can come at this as your heart for the rest of it, okay? So it's really important to let that stuff out. That's the beginning of it. Number 2 is I'm sorry for. I'm sorry for. So what are you blaming them for? I'm sorry for blaming you for, not being there for me. I'm sorry for blaming you for this. I'm sorry for, I'm sorry for, I'm sorry for, I'm sorry for. And you just repeat that. Number 3, I forgive you for. I forgive you for, I forgive you for, I forgive you for, I forgive you for. And you just go off and off and off. What are you forgiving them for? Truly. Everything. And keep writing. And then the truth is you were doing the best you could with what you had. The truth is you didn't even know because your dad never taught you. The truth is you had your own stuff going on. The truth is that doesn't make it right. The truth is aligned to the truth. That's the powerful part of this process. So you're going to do this letter. There is no right. There is no wrong. There is no length limit or supposed to ness. It needs to come from your heart. What's right is what's true. So write from your heart when you're doing this and be with it. If you have writer's block, know that it's a pattern of avoidance. There's no right answer to this. This will take work. This will be hard. But this is the liberation that you're seeking. This is the love that you're seeking. It's to love even more and to love even though. And when you have written, so you're going to journal those questions, those answers at the beginning for yourself on a separate sheet of paper or multiple pieces of paper. You're going to write this forgiveness letter. Now, when you're ready, the last part of this homework is to burn the letter. Now, the reason we're burning it is because it releases it from this realm, if you will. We're pouring a lot of energy into that letter, and we're pouring a lot of stuff into that letter, and it's like you need to just fully let it go. And trust me, ceremonial burning is like this. It's a lot more powerful than you would think. So what you want to do is you set an intention. You have that letter with you. There's a fire there. And you set the intention of, I'm going to let this go. This isn't going to control me anymore. I'm choosing a different way. And the truth is. Maybe even say it out loud, read it out loud to the fire. And when you choose to let it go, you burn it. And just let it be and just be there. There's nothing to do, and just be with the letting go and have that intention to let it go and to fully forgive. Again, does forgiveness make it right? No. Does forgiveness make it mean that you have to go have an amazing relationship with that person now? No, because everybody's situation is different. But you're going to let it go. You're going to let the story go. You're going to let go of being right. You're going to let go of this conditioning, and you're going to heal that wound within you for yourself as an act of love. And this is choosing love, not hurt.